Welcome to the latest episode of our podcast, where we showcase the inspiring stories of people who have defied the odds and achieved remarkable feats. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with Madonna Hanna, a 69-year-old track star who has broken records and won medals in senior competitions across the United States. Madonna's story is a testament to the power of determination and hard work, and we can all learn something from her inspiring journey. From fashion marketing teacher to motivational speaker, Madonna has accomplished so much in her life and continues to inspire others to achieve their dreams. So sit back and listen to our conversation with Madonna Hanna and be prepared to be inspired.
So tonight we have Madonna Hanna. Madonna. So that's your full name, right? First and last name, correct? Just to make sure
Yes.
I got it correct. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And we want to welcome her. I'm really excited tonight to be interviewing her. She's kind of one of a kind. I mean, anybody that sees this video from our promotional videos we'll put out as far as our teasers, she looks like she's 45 or 46 years old. So you told me, Hannah, or Madonna, would you like to tell the audience when your birthday is and what age you're going to be turning?
Yes, I would love to. Carl, and to everybody listening, I am going to be a sensational 70 in September.
All right. Happy pre-birthday. That's exciting. And there's a lot of other things in your life going on that are pretty exciting too. We're going to talk about a few of those. But before we get into that, I guess my audience would like to know, and I would like to know a little more about your background. Tell us where you're from. Maybe give us a little information about growing up in school. You had an interesting story you mentioned in your bio that I wanted to kind of dig into, and I think it's one of your personal missions to help children that are going through that, and that would be good
Okay.
for us as parents and older generation people to be aware of what's going on, and I'd love to hear a little more about that. So go ahead and fire away.
Okay, we'll start off with me being raised in a white conservative suburbs of Boston,
Oh, wow.
and in my in my elementary school in the 60s, there were only 3 colored kids. There was only 3 of us, and in my particular grade, there was just me.
Mhm.
Just me. And out of, I think, 30 or 40 kids, because back in the 60s, there were like maybe 30 kids to a class. Thank
Right.
goodness they all weren't bullies. But
Mhm.
there were four guys who were, and from grade to grade to grade. Oh, when you're sitting in alphabetical order, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, these bullies traveled with
Oh,
with me up until up until the 6th grade, and they made life real interesting for me. And for anybody who's ever been bullied, you will always remember the first and last name of the people who bully you. Um, they may not know that I have forgiven them, because you don't want to carry that bitterness
no.
around. Yeah, in junior high school, an incident that I'll share an incident that happened. I was the only colored kid in my gym class, and one day, after gym class, you go into the locker room, which is always real exciting, and things happen. My locker was open and my wallet was gone, and yes, and and 2 white girls who took my wallet, they returned it. Actually, one of them threw the empty wallet at me and shoved me into the open locker, and I got scratched and I was bleeding. And I went crying to the gym teacher. I mean, I weighed all of 99 pounds. And the gym teacher looked at me and said, "Now, Madonna, those are nice girls, and they wouldn't do anything like that."
Oh,
I'm
naturally.
crying. I'm scratched up. I'm bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to my locker because I'm between a rock and a hard place here, because I told the teacher. And those girls were waiting for me at my locker. And instead of calling me the N word, they were calling me a tattletale. It's
Oh,
like,
wow.
so,
You're,
I mean, like I said, I hadn't had any interaction with them before, not like the four little guys in elementary school where we're traveling from grade to grade. This was really out of the blue. I mean, it just really, it really was. Evidently, this was something that they had been planning and executed. And yes, and the teacher didn't do anything about it.
So what did your dad or mom, what did they advise you to do when you brought this up with them, or did you with your parents?
Like most kids who were bullied, I didn't tell them. And Carl, one of the reasons why I didn't tell them was because they had their own issues that they were dealing with as African Americans at work and living in an all-white neighborhood. So I just didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. I would go home and cry and talk to God. I would say, "Why did you make me this color? Can't you change my color?" I mean, that was, yeah, that's what I did.
I think people too don't understand the big difference between the 60s and I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so it was a little better by that point, but not much. I mean, I don't think the kids these days understand completely what the difference was. And so that's a tough story because there's, like you said, there's nothing you can do about what color you are or how tall you are or
No.
I mean, the fact that you just moved into a neighborhood. I mean, I understand. I've been bullied, and unfortunately, I was a bully one time too. And you always remember that, by the way,
Yes.
years later as well. So, and it's a shame that you carry with you. So it's, you know, I only did it once, but it was enough, and I knew better. My parents raised me better than that.
Sure. Most, yeah, most kids do know better. I was thinking that, you know, because as we'll find out, I taught for 32 years. And parents have changed. Kids have changed. Parents have changed. And there was a time when if your child did something, a parent would take the child to task and then have them apologize. Make them apologize. You know, whether they were calling somebody names or if they damaged people's personal property playing baseball and the ball went through, you know, even accidentally. But there was a time when that seemed to have been the rule or just how things were. Yeah, you got whooped and then you had to go apologize, you know.
The nice part was apologizing. It was the part before the apology that was very difficult and kind of hurt sometimes.
And then here you are sniffling, you know, because both parents are there and you got to knock on the neighbor's door or whoever it was, and you know, and then go ahead, apologize, you know.
And you did it.
Well, you didn't have any choice, you know, because if you didn't do it right, you were going to get another licking once you got home because your parents had the decency to be embarrassed by your behavior, and you know, you were, you know, whoever it was, you know, they were asked, how can we make this good? What can, you know, our child do? you know.
Well, I think there's a pivotal moment in most children's, growing up experience where it changes all of a sudden. And I can't tell you where mine changed, but I mean, I think you have a story, don't you, about when it changed for you.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what happened and how you switched it and changed that from that point forward.
What the situation that changed me happened in high school. I was a senior, and a young lady named Beth was a sophomore, and she was bullied because she weighed over 200 pounds. And I'm going to tell you, at that time in the 70s, the early 70s, kids weren't obese like they are now. They were not overweight. So every once in a while, there was a fat kid.
Mm-hmm.
And that was her. But she was not only heavy, she was tall. She wore thick glasses and her eyes were crossed, and she had cotton candy, thin hair. So yeah, she hit the jackpot. And what was remarkable about her was that she was on our drill team.
Really?
Our colors were orange, black, and white. And the drill team jackets were orange. And I remember hearing kids say during assemblies or the football game, "Hey, Charlie Brown, there's the great pumpkin." Because here Beth was, the tallest and the biggest on the drill team. And plus she also sang in the choir. And
Wow.
and you would hear kids say, "Hey, look, Beth's wearing a pop tent," because they couldn't get a robe to fit her. So here Beth was front and forward. There came
Good for her. Good for her.
Well,
Yeah.
looking back now, okay?
Yeah.
Because when kids were teasing her,
Mm-hmm.
I was grateful because they weren't teasing me at the moment. And anybody who has been bullied, because it sounds like a terrible thing for me to say, but it's the truth. When you are being bullied a lot, and there's another kid that's a target too, it's like a relief that this time it's not you. What happened with Beth was she was gone from school for a stretch of time, maybe about 2 months. And when she returned, she was a svelte, maybe 124 pounds.
Wow.
And there she was. And she had long hair. She wasn't wearing glasses. She had a Jackie Kennedy shift dress on. I mean, she actually looked like she could have modeled for 17 magazine. And everybody was like, "Wow, look at Beth." And as I was walking down the hall, I didn't even know it was her. And the only way I was able to recognize her was because of her friends. She had a few friends. And plus, Beth had this glow about her. I'm just a glow. That was on a Wednesday. The following Monday, right after the Pledge of Allegiance, the principal made an announcement. He said that Beth's mother had stopped by and she left a note to be read to the school. Beth had passed away.
Oh, no.
She had had cancer, and that's, how she lost the weight. And the doctor, according to her mother in the note, the doctor told her she only had a week to live. And Beth chose to come to school. And as the principal was reading the note, Beth's mother said that Beth loved going to school. She loved to sing, so that's why she was in the choir. And that's why she was on the drill team. Like myself, I guess Beth never told her mother that she was bullied. But this is the sentiment that her mother had shared. And I'll tell you, Carl, you couldn't hear a pin drop in our home room because, you know,
Oh,
because it was like this kid that was bullied. She loved attending school and taking
there were
part in
probably a lot of
activities.
people. There were probably a lot of people thinking about all the things they had done to her.
E- exactly. Exactly. And Carl, I was angry at Beth. I was angry. And the reason I was angry was because I thought, if I only had 1 week to live, there's no way I would have gone to school.
Hmm.
There's no way. I wouldn't have done it. I would not have done it. And I was angry at her for that. I was
Hmm.
angry with her for a couple of days. And then it hit me. Beth lived her life on her own terms. She heard the insult, but there she was in the choir, and there she was at halftime, pep rallies on
She might have
on
been
the drill team.
she might have been a victim of the bullies, but she didn't let it make her a victim.
No, no, and I thought about that, and I started to think, there's absolutely nothing that I can do about the color of my skin. There's nothing I can do about it. I thought, you know what? I want to go into the fashion industry. That's what I'm going to do. And if somebody doesn't like me because of the color of my skin, that's not going to stop me. And I promised myself that I would always keep a place in my heart for Beth because I wanted to be able to share her story, which I have with students. Um, because one, I was ashamed of my behavior, and she changed my life. And also now I am grateful that I was bullied because it helped me to grow the thick skin that I needed as I was going into the fashion industry and
Wow.
out into the world where sometimes you meet people who are racist or people who don't like you and make fun of you. And it's like, you know what? Been there, done that. I got to keep stepping, you know?
Well, yeah, and usually you find those people project really what's inside themselves, I find. And what you're seeing is their own ugliness and their own self doubt and anger at
And their
their
own
own lives.
insecurity too. And their
Hmm.
own
Yes.
insecurity, especially as I eventually found out that people who are bullied or are have been bullied, or they're being bullied by somebody in the family, their neighbor, or someone, and in order to make themselves feel good, there's a scapegoat, and I was the scapegoat. There I
Hmm.
was. But those are things that you don't realize until later. I did pursue a career in the fashion industry,
Hmm.
and I didn't know I was going to teach, but it was there was an opportunity for me to become a vocational educator
Oh,
and to teach
okay.
fashion marketing. Because, like, I was going to go to New York and rule the fashion world, but I had an opportunity
Doesn't
to teach.
everybody
Yeah, yeah.
that goes
Any
in the.
anybody who goes into fashion, yes, you want to go to New York. You go from Boston to New York. It's like, yeah, yeah. And I had that personality, and people just knew, yeah, you can
Okay.
go to New York. Yeah. And so anyway, I had an opportunity to teach, and I had remembered my gym teacher, and I had remembered what it was like to be bullied. And I made sure to tell my students, there will be no bullying in here.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about what I really was uh, jonesing to have you on for, which was to talk to you a little bit about the post 50. So I'm gonna So I'm going to tell you a little bit. In my background, I'm 53, and so at 49, I was really depressed. Uh, I'd been divorced a few years and felt a little bit of a failure with that whole mess. And
Mhm.
then, but I was raising four boys,
Oh,
and
goodness.
my daughter had already graduated and moved on. But I had my role. I went to work, made money, came home, take care of the kids.
Mhm.
So life was pretty decent. I knew what I was about. Then all of a sudden, the darn kids start graduating, and going to college and various areas that they need to move on to.
Mhm.
And then I kind of experienced that what most 50-year-olds probably experience, that dreaded, what's my purpose now?
Yeah.
This has been my life, my last 25 years. Now all of a sudden things are changing, and I don't know if I like the change. No one's here to explain what I do. What should I do? I mean, my parents have, they've gone past that stage a long time ago. They're more worried about surviving themselves.
Yes.
So you can talk to them, and they're like, "Oh, we forgot." I got one funny story when I dropped my son off at college. The first day, well, it was the day I dropped him off, and I couldn't. I was very emotional.
Of course.
I got to the door. I almost started to cry, but I'm a man. I can't do that. So I walked out to my vehicle, got in the vehicle, and then started driving down the road. And all of a sudden, tears just, and so I called my dad and I said, "I hate you right now." And he said, "Why?" I said, "You didn't tell me this would happen." And then he says, "Well, why would we tell you that you wouldn't have any children?" And so I finally got it. I was like, wow, okay, he made a good point. But I've found I've struggled a little bit too with, when you're 30 or 40, you would, think of something like, oh, I want to go run a marathon. And then boom, you go do it. At age 50, things don't work quite as well physically. And they continue to digress if you don't work on those things. So let's talk a little bit about how you change that whole dynamic, because your story is pretty incredible. So when was this when you decided, I'm an athlete, I'm ready to win the gold medal? Yeah.
Well, Carl, I was 57 years old.
Okay.
And I was planning the spring fashion show. and all of a sudden I was just hit by this overwhelming feeling to run 100 meters.
Really? Okay.
I had no prior no prior track experience whatsoever.
Really?
Nothing.
Okay, this
nothing,
is getting better.
Nothing.
Okay.
Well, my high
All right.
school didn't have a girls' track team or anything like that. Growing up, I watched the Olympics. I mean, and I couldn't shake that feeling. Just could not shake it. And it was a couple of days, and it felt heavy. Anyway, my late husband, he had track experience, and I told him I want to run 100 meters, and he said, okay. I'll coach you, but you got to do what I say. Like, well, okay. So, he had me running up and down hills with a backpack with 5 pounds of bricks
Oh, wow.
and this and that. I mean, and
Old school.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Old school. That's exactly right. Because I'm going to meet new school in a few years, from that time. But anyway, he entered me into the Washington State Senior Games in the 50-meter and 100-meter event. And I thought, all I have to do is just run as fast as I can in a straight line, because this is just a whim. I wasn't expecting anything. Well, Carl, I won the 50.
Oh, wow.
I won the 100.
Nice.
Yes, I won. And there were people crowding around me because I was a new.
Give you high fives.
High fives and
hugs.
Yeah, hugs. Yes, because everybody else kind of knew each other, because they've been racing. And someone said, you should compete again next year, because that's a qualifying year for nationals. And I'm like, nationals? Stick out
Uh-oh.
here on a whim. Well, I competed again, and guess what? I made it to nationals in Cleveland in 2013. My husband and I went to the National Senior Games, which is the largest multi-sport event in the world for people who are 50,
Wow.
50 to 100 plus. It was the most incredible experience
Wow.
for my husband and I, and to see all these, especially people who were like 80 and 90 years old playing basketball. I mean, I remember seeing a woman 80 with a big purple and blue black eye, and she's walking around and she's there. Yeah, I was playing basketball and somebody elbowed me. Yeah, it was
All
it
right.
was
Dennis Rodman.
yeah,
All
it
right.
was it was it was like the red badge of courage. I'm like, oh goodness.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I did well in my event. In the 100 meters, I came in ninth. I thought not bad.
That's not
I
bad.
was just out of the money, and there was a chance to be on a 4x100 relay team. Somebody's teammate had gotten sick, so I volunteered, and I showed up 15 minutes before the race, to sign in, check in, and somebody said, "What leg do you want to? What leg do you want to run, Madonna?" And I said, "I don't know. I've never done this before." And one lady got really upset, and another one just took me over to the track, gave me a 10-minute crash course and what to do. I was going to be the first leg, which, as you know, is a curve, and I don't know how to run in a straight line. But
That's hard.
anyway, I listened, followed the instructions, and we won a national bronze medal.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and I didn't know
Yeah.
what to do. I do share that. I do share that story when I speak to volunteers. You got to watch out what you volunteer for, because here I am showing
Yeah.
up. Oh, I'm a volunteer. I can run fast in a straight line, and it's like, what leg do you want to run? Like, what's a leg? I mean, I've watched this on television. So anyway, that was 2013. 2014, I was racing a 50-meter event in Washington, and lady was coming up on my shoulder. I threw it into another gear, and I heard what I thought was the starting gun going off again. But I
Oh
said,
no.
no, that can't be. Next thing I know, everything went dark. I had ruptured my Achilles, and like
Oh no.
everybody heard it.
And that's what it sounds like. It sounds like a kind of like a gunshot,
Yeah,
from what I understand,
well,
when they
take it
go.
from me.
Yeah.
I was either like 61 going on 62, okay?
Oh
And
my goodness.
and here I am. I woke up on a table wondering, like, what am I doing here? And they said, "You're not racing anymore today, Madonna. You have
You're
a
done.
ruptured Achilles, and you're going to have to go to the emergency room." And
Oh boy.
yes, 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 yes. And yes, I had surgery, but and the surgeon told me that, well, because of your age,
Mm.
and the severity of the rupture, you're not going to be running, that you won't have that explosive speed or anything again. But after rehab, and let me see, that was
I was going to say that probably didn't do very much effect on you, did it?
well, I never thought that I would not run again. I never thought that. And the rehab didn't happen until 2015, because you got to go through all this healing and stuff. And in 2017, I said, let me just try. Let me just try to see if I can do it. Won the 50 and the 100 again at the state
There you
level.
go.
And
There you go.
and that was also 2017 was also my husband's first bout of cancer.
Oh.
And he would have two more bouts at the beginning of 2018, and then he passed away in November of 2018, his third bout of cancer. And in the meantime, he had gotten me ready to compete again at Washington State so I could qualify for the 2019 National Games in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And that was our goal, to go together.
Good.
But, that third bout of cancer, it was his esophagus, so he was not able to speak, but he could write. They had taken him into surgery, opened him up, and,
Mm.
yeah, and said, and they came out and they told me that he maybe had 2 or 3 weeks to live, and he's not going
Oof.
home. They're going to put him in hospice so that things could be taken care of. And my husband, his final request to me that he wrote down was continue to race, build up your thighs, and when you go to Albuquerque, wear red, white, and blue. And eventually that's what I did. But in the meantime, like I said, he passed away in November. And in February 2019, I had a new coach. I had interviewed 2 boomers, one male, one female. And the female boomer I really wanted because I met her during rehab. And she's an international and national champion in the high jump. And she really wanted to be my coach, but she had other things to do. So she says, I know a guy. He's an Olympic hopeful. He graduated from Oregon. He's a X amount of time All-American, NCAA champion.
What's his name?
Marcus Chambers. He went
Marcus
to
Chambers.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can look him up in Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oregon. Yeah.
Okay.
And when he and when he was in high school, he was the national 400-meter champion, national in the state,
Okay.
Junior Olympics and everything. And she said, "May I give him your number to call?" And I said, "Well, sure. You had me at Olympic hopeful,
Yeah.
and plus, Carl, when I retired from teaching, I was teaching millennials. Now I have a millennial coach, so the coaching
Yeah.
baton was passed from my old school husband to this millennial who had me doing all these drills. You're
Yeah.
I was like, that was so different from me, Carl. I thought, what had I gotten myself into? Because you see, my husband and I had success at the state level. We had,
Sure.
by the time he had passed away, we had 13 state medals and 1 national medal. And I thought, well, what I was doing with him was working, and now I've got to do all these drills. And I thought, I don't want to do this. But then I knew better. That corporate training and me teaching, it's like, nope, you're not going to quit. You know better. Suck it up and do it.
Well, tell me what the relationship was like, because I know in corporate America sometimes we have younger management, and I've been dealing with that, and actually it can be a good experience if both parties just get rid of the age issue. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly. Age had nothing to do with it. I know that if somebody has an expertise that's going to help me, then age doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I had that goal, that my husband's last request. This is a young man who was volunteering his time because he was pursuing his own career at that time. And like I said, he was an Olympic hopeful. And so anyway, it's like, Madonna, you know how to be a team member. You know how to follow instructions, because to me, a good manager, a good leader is somebody who understands team dynamics because they were part of a team. This year, we will be 4 years together, and we have 6 state medals, 2 silver, 4 gold, and we have a national medal and 7th place ribbon. So
now you're writing a journal right now, right? About the National Senior Games. Is that what you were saying in your profile? Tell us a little more about that. Can people follow your journey online, or do
Oh
you have a
yes.
vlog? Or
Oh, they can
okay,
they can follow me on they can follow me on my Instagram, uh
okay,
Madonna Fit Fast and Fabulous. In fact, if they go there and scroll through, they'll see me
fit,
racing
fit and
and
fabulous.
yeah,
I like
yeah.
that.
Yes,
So
darling.
repeat that one more time, and I'm going to write that
Okay,
down.
my
So,
my Instagram account is Madonna
uh-huh.
Madonna Fit FIT Fast FAST and Fabulous. Fit Fast and Fabulous.
Okay. And do you have any kind of program or anything that you do with older adults that
Right
you
now,
train them too, or
good grief. My coach
sorry.
trains me. I mean,
Okay.
five,
You don't have.
I don't have time, 5 days a week because the competition is coming up in July.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's 3 days on the track and 2 days in the gym. My days off are Wednesday and Sunday, and I need those days off because I need the recovery time.
Well, tell us about the what dates are the national games, and can we watch? I'm assuming they have a website where we
They
can
have,
check your.
yes, check the National Senior Games website.
Okay.
Just type in 2023 National Senior Games, which is going to be in Pittsburgh this time
Okay.
around, and track and field starts on July 10th.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
my first race in the 50 meters will be July 10th. Hopefully on the 11th, I will be in the finals and running the 100 meters. And then on the 12th, it's the 100-meter final. And then on the 14th is the 4x100-meter relay.
Well, I'll be rooting for you that day. That's for sure. So I'll be watching. I'm the master of figuring out results online because of my son. So
Okay. All right.
yeah, but I'll be exciting. Well, I'll tell our audience too how you did if they didn't watch it themselves. Or well, I don't know. It's not on TV, is it? Or is it on
No,
TV?
no, but there is a there is a link. I can always, because you're a track dad, I can send you a link. And one thing before we tie this up, I do want
Yeah.
the your listeners, viewers to know that absolutely anything is possible.
Yeah.
Last May in the senior games actually every 2 years, but COVID, messed everything up. I ran my personal best in the 100, and my time was faster than 2013 in Cleveland.
Wow.
Now, remember, I had ruptured my Achilles in
Yeah.
2014, and here I am running faster. And I placed seventh in the nation. My ranking went up, and in the 50 meters, I almost broke my 50-meter record from 2011, which was my first. So as you can see, I'm getting older, but I'm getting faster. So
Yeah.
absolutely anything is possible for those of you sitting at home saying, well, I wish I could do this or do that. I mean, not everybody's got to get up and go run, but but absolutely anything is possible. It's just your mind set, and if you're meant to do it, you're going to do it. And just sometimes you just have to take that chance. Like, you have your own remarkable story, Carl. Anything is possible. After your divorce, you raised 4 kids,
Hmm.
4 boys.
Yeah.
You did it. Usually, the kids go with the mother, but in your case, there you were. It was a struggle. You said you got depressed at a certain point, when, oh, all the kids are gone. What am I going to do with my life? But look what you're doing. You have
Hmm.
found a sense of purpose for your life. You're reaching out, you're meeting people, you're in partnership with 2 other guys who miss this remarkable exchange between us,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
absolutely anything is possible. Even, me with a ruptured Achilles, me with absolutely no track experience at all. But I know that this was something that I was meant to do. And as you know, I was on the
Sometimes you just have to jump, don't you? You just
yes,
have to do it.
yes.
Yeah.
And who knew I was going to be on the Today Show? They found out about my story
Yeah.
through an
That's
article
awesome.
that I wrote for an AARP publication. And so,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now, do you have your own podcast or any type of a publication other than the journal? Okay.
No,
So,
no.
all
I'm
right.
exhausted. Like I
Well,
said,
someday. So I can tell though you like to talk too, like me. So someday when you do, let me know and I'll be a guest on yours.
Yes,
So
yes,
I'll tell you what incredible things
yes,
we've done
yes,
the last 10 years.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, I really appreciate the time we spent together, Madonna. You have been a fantastic guest, and I hope my audience realizes that 50 is just a number. I mean, when they say that, they mean it.
I mean it.
I mean, Madonna's turning 70 soon, and she's one of the fastest runners, I guess, in her divisions. Is that how they break it down in a division age-wise? Or
Yes, in Washington State, I'm the person to beat. But on the national level, you see, my coach is making me more competitive in the national level because he's an elite sprinter and he's, and I'm like his science project. And so he is helping me to be more competitive. And yes, I am climbing up the national ladder. I went from 16th to 10th in the 50 meters and from 17th to 7th.
Now, is there an international opportunity here for you too? I mean, someday?
Eventually, yes, but this is baby steps because I am still learning the mechanics from
Yes.
my coach. You know that's people are fast,
Hmm.
but when you're being taught the mechanics of what to do, the new school stuff, yes, down the road we will get into, who knows, I may be 75, I may be 80 running in the USA track and field masters, which
Hey, who knows? Maybe I'll be swimming by then in the Masters, so we'll see. That's my sport. So
go for it.
Well, hey, well, it was fun talking to you, Madonna, and I know you got a busy schedule. You need to get some sleep too. Athletes need a lot of that and proper nutrition, and maybe one day we'll have you on again to tell us a little more about how your adventures go. So.